Hello and welcome to this week's video. You may remember that last week I started off a series of videos where I'm going to look at the different attitudes of mindfulness and how you can incorporate those into your qigong and obviously into your mindfulness practice. Excuse me. Didn't quite get the room set up properly before. Last week we looked at acceptance. This week we're looking at a wonderful thing called the beginner's mind. And most of us know what a beginner's mind is if we think about it. When you have been in a situation or are doing something that you really are very familiar with, you come at it naturally with a preconceived set of ideas as to what should happen, how things should go, all these sorts of things. But today, I want to invite you to look and think about everything that you do from a perspective of, I don't think I've ever done this before. Because the beginner's mind is the kind of wonderful curiosity that a child brings to anything. As a child is growing up, as a baby is growing up, they encounter things that obviously they've never encountered before. And so inevitably they come to it with no preconceptions. So that's why, a child will say, encounter a cat for the first time. And, the look of wonder on their face when, they've never seen anything like this. And they stroke the cat and the cat purrs. And when you see that sort of event happening from a child's perspective, it actually gives you a different perspective on what it's like to stroke a cat. And that's the kind of attitude that I want to try and encourage you to bring to what we're going to do today. Why? Because looking at life as an adult, we approach situations that, we know how they've gone before, and it sets off all those stress chemicals in our body. If you can bring a beginner's mind to it and not come to it with preconceptions, can look at it from maybe a totally different perspective, that can be incredibly empowering. So the meditation, which is going to be a bit different, is going to be encouraging the beginner's mind. But right now, what I'd like you to do is to get into your position for your qigong. So if you're standing, feet are hip width apart, feet parallel, facing forward, back straight, neck straight, chin tucked in, because when you say get your neck straight, a lot of people tip their chin up. No, get your chin down. Make sure the crown of your head is pointing up at the ceiling. Relax your knees very slightly. If you can, engage your core abdominal muscles. If you're seated to do this, all the same things apply, except obviously you can't relax your knees slightly because your knees will be bent because you're sitting. But all the others still apply. Straight back, straight neck, chin tucked in, core muscles engaged. And having said all that, I'm now going to say, but don't worry if you can't do it perfectly. Because one of the key things with qigong is you should not be doing anything that causes you any pain or discomfort. So get into the best possible position that you can manage. And then when you've done that, I'd like you to spend a few minutes just breathing, just tuning in to how it feels to be sitting or standing in this stance that probably isn't one that you would naturally use. Pretend that you've never stood in this stance before and really explore with your breath. Use your breath to breathe into different parts of your body. Really explore the feelings that you have as you're standing in this position, both physical feelings and emotional feelings. Send your awareness down to your feet. If you're standing especially, make sure that your weight is evenly balanced. It's very easy to be leaning back slightly or to be leaning forward slightly. And your weight needs to be evenly distributed. Also, it's very easy to have your hip ankles turn slightly out or slightly in, which means that your weight isn't spread evenly over each foot, but it's rather more on the outside or the inside of the foot. And I want you to bring this beginner's mind to the concept that, can you send your awareness down to the very ball of your foot? And just where the ball of the foot meets the arch, there is a very important acupressure point. And when you're standing correctly, that acupressure point is activated. And it helps the energy to flow a little bit better, and that's what qigong is all about. Okay. If you haven't been able to do all that, I'm going to say, remind you of last week, okay, just accept. Haven't been able to do it quite as well as you'd like, but okay. With a bit of practice, maybe you'll do it better next time, but you are where you are. Just accept that. Then I'm going to do a slightly different grounding meditation this time. Can you imagine that you're a monkey? And this works whether you're sitting or standing. Especially good if you're standing. Imagine you're a monkey. You've got a monkey tail coming out from the base of your spine, curling under. Imagine in a way that if you're standing, that you're sitting actually on that monkey tail. And it's like the third leg of a stool. It's making you stable and strong. And can you imagine energy connecting through your feet and through that imaginary monkey tail, connecting you to the earth, helping you to feel grounded and stable. And then turn your hands so that make sure your arms are hanging loosely by your side, shake them a little. If you're seated, maybe you've got your hands on your lap rather than by your side. Well, that's okay. Just get your hands into whatever position works for you. But the ideal, if you can manage it, is dangling down by your side. As you do that, can you maybe imagine that all the weight's just draining out of your arms, making your arms really loose and light, almost light like a feather, so that your arms just respond quite naturally to the movement of your breath and your body. And then with your next in-breath, just gently allow your arms to float out in front of you. And then as you breathe out, they just gently sink all the way back down. Find your own breath and your own rhythm. Only move your arms as far as you can manage in one gentle, easy breath. Breathe in, allow your arms to float up, breathe out, and they sink back down. And then last time for this move, let the bottom just relax and let go. And maybe just take a minute to check your posture. The second move is all about your chest. It starts the same. So as you breathe in, your hands float up. Then this time as your chest and lungs expand, just allow your arms to spread out. And then as you breathe out and everything relaxes, they naturally float back in and back down. Only make the move as big as you can manage in one gentle, easy breath. So as you breathe in, your arms float up and spread apart. As you breathe out, they float back in and back down. And then we'll do this move one more time. At the bottom, as you breathe out, just relax and let go. And then with your next in-breath, just let your arms float up still higher, ready to paint rainbows. And as you breathe out, transfer your weight slightly to the left, sink on your left side and allow your right arm to uncurl. As you breathe in, everything comes back to the middle. Be careful with this move, don't lean over, your back should always remain perfectly straight. Do this move twice more. Again, bring that beginner's mind to how this move feels as you do it, how your body feels as you do this move in the best way that you can. And turn your palms out and allow your hands to gently sweep down all the way by your sides. As you breathe in, just allow your arms to float up again. And as you do this move again, make the circles as big or as small as you feel comfortable with. Maybe a beginner's mind will help you see that you don't have to push quite as hard as you were doing, or maybe you'll realise that actually you can maybe take this move a bit farther. Just do what works for you, but don't do what you've always done. Just begin that beginner's mind to the sensations that you have in your body, sensations that should be guiding what you can do with this. As you breathe in, allow your arms to float up. Breathe out. Just let your hands float down. And then last time for this move. And this time as you breathe out, just allow your hands to float down just in front of your abdomen with the palms up. Hands very slightly cupped as if you're holding a ball. Then with your next in-breath, can you imagine that you're feeling around a small ball? And as you breathe out, imagine you're pushing it down. Be careful with this move to keep it very small. Take your hands no higher than your heart. Your beginner's mind, maybe focus on making your arms loose and as light as you can. Be aware of any tension in your arms and just relax them and just allow everything to flow. So as you breathe in, you feel around that small ball. As you breathe out, you push it down. And then last time for this move, breathe out and just bring your hands to rest in front of your abdomen or with arms by your side or on your lap, whatever works for you. Again, over the abdomen is best, but just do what works. And I'm going to give you a few moments of silence, just to gently breathe and get that sense of everything settling back to where it should be. And when you're ready, allow your hands to gently float down by your side and just bring yourself out of the qigong stance. Okay, I'm now going to give you a few moments to get yourself into position, ready for the meditation. Excuse me a moment. I have a cup of tea. And I need to take a sip of it before I do too much talking. So excuse me a moment. Okay, no singing bowl this morning. Just going to ask you to just get yourself into position, ready for our meditation. Make sure you're comfortable. You can be sitting, lying, standing. And then when you're ready, what I'd like you to do is just to hold one hand out. And I just want you to look at your hand. I want you to pretend that you've never seen your hand before. We talk about knowing things like the back of our hand. Well, how well do you know the back of your hand? Turn it over. Maybe take a good look at it. Maybe run one hand over the other. How does it feel? And look at the front again. How does one hand feel going over the other? You've probably done this before, but I want you to bring your full attention to it this time. Just hold your hand out and really look at it. Maybe move your hand slightly. As you do that, what difference does that make to how your hand looks? How does that change things? Really look at every aspect of your hand, the joints, the creases, any marks that you may have or scars on your hand. Just spend 2 or 3 minutes just looking at your hand as if you've never seen a hand before, as if you're trying to work out how best to use it. And then just allow your hand to relax back into whatever position you find best for meditation. I'm going to remind you that mindfulness isn't about clearing your mind, it's about being aware of what your mind is doing. And I'm also going to remind you that it's not a competitive sport. Whatever you notice is perfect for you. So, if you need to close your eyes or find it easy to close your eyes, that's fine. Keep your eyes open if you wish. When I'm doing things by video, that has the advantage that if I've got my eyes open, I'm not staring at people and not aware of people staring at me. So get yourself settled and comfortable, and you may be very used to sitting in that chair or that stool or lying where you are. But again, bring that beginner's curiosity to exactly what you can feel as you're sitting or lying where you are. What textures are you aware of? Maybe there's something that you've never really noticed before. What signals is your body sending you? Do you maybe need to adjust your position a little? And then bring your awareness to breathing. Just focus your awareness on every in-breath and every out-breath as they naturally happen. Just let your breath be completely natural. And maybe imagine that you're an observer, just standing a little bit off to one side, just observing your breath. And what do you feel? What do you feel that tells you that you're breathing in? And what do you feel that tells you that you're breathing out? On one level, you know when you're breathing in and breathing out. How? What do you feel? Really be curious about what you feel and where you feel it with each part of your breath. And if there's nothing particular that comes to mind, that's okay. This isn't a competitive sport. Whatever you notice is perfect for you. So don't push too hard to notice things. Just notice what naturally comes to your attention. And if I say something that, you're thinking, well, I can't do that, that's okay. Everyone does this mindfulness thing differently. I'm just trying to guide you with a few suggestions. Now, chances are that your mind is going to want to wander away from this. Of course, let's be honest, focusing on your breathing isn't exactly the most natural thing in the world to do. And if you notice that's happened, first thing I want you to do is to congratulate yourself, because you've noticed that your mind has wandered off. Well done, you're being mindful. But then sometimes our minds can want to wander off to think about things that seem important, but actually aren't. Because right here, right now, the only thing that matters is just you and this breath coming in and this breath going out. So maybe acknowledge the thought that took it away, but then allow it to drift away like a balloon in the sky. And then just gently lead your mind back to your breath. Not trying to second guess what the breath should feel like, just breathing normally and just seeing what comes into your attention. So, what do you notice? As you breathe, maybe, do you notice air moving in and out of your nose and throat? Maybe you notice air moving in the back of your throat. Maybe you notice muscles moving in your chest or in your tummy. So many things that you could notice, but you will notice whatever is perfect for you. And if there's not one thing that comes particularly to attention, that's okay. It's your mind, it's your breath. You will notice what's right for you. But the chances are there is movement involved in it. So now I'd like to invite you to see if you can become aware of that brief moment of stillness that happens in between each breath. That stillness probably isn't a very long moment of stillness, but can you be curious about whether you can actually sense it? And if you can, how do you feel inside that brief moment of stillness? And if you can't, maybe just imagine how you think it would feel inside that moment of stillness. Now, stillness is something that can be very hard to find in today's busy world. So, I'd like to invite you to think about the fact that actually there is a moment of stillness that happens hundreds of times every day, and you've just found it. So, what does it mean to you to know that anytime you need a moment of stillness, you can find it simply by focusing on your breath? Stillness is important because if our bodies are never still, then they're going to get very tired and worn out. If our minds are never still, we're not going to relax, we're not going to rest, and we're going to have lots of stress chemicals floating around in our bodies. So stillness is important. And now you've got some stillness that you can tap into anytime you need it. Think of your breath as an anchor that can help anchor you into that moment of stillness. How does that feel? Think about that. And even if you've thought about it before, think about it with that beginner's mind, what that really could mean to you. Maybe for a moment, you could imagine that stillness that you found spreading out from where you found it to slowly spread through the whole of your body. You probably take 3 or 4 gentle, easy breaths. And then imagine that that stillness spreads out, filling your torso, your legs, your arms, and your head, so that every part of your body is filled with that stillness, the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes. Just for a few moments, spread your awareness out to the whole of your body. Hold the whole of your body in your awareness and just enjoy that feeling that you've got right now. And then bring your awareness back once more to your breath. And then gradually let your awareness start to move outwards so that you become aware of where your body is in the room. Become aware of the room and maybe sounds from inside or outside the room. Sounds apart from the sound of my voice. And then gradually bring yourself back to normal awareness. Don't rush off. Open your eyes when you're ready. But as you come back to a more normal awareness and perception of the world, I'd like you to remember 2 things. First, you can take this nice, quiet feeling with you through the rest of your day, because all you need to do to tap into it again is focus your awareness on your breath. And the other thing is to try for the rest of today to bring a beginner's mind to any situation that you find is pushing all your buttons and making the stress chemicals flow. Try to approach things with no preconceptions. Try to see things with an eye for things that doesn't remember all your previous experiences. No, it's not easy to do, but trust me, it can be worth it. I've done it, and it can bring some much needed help if you can learn to bring a beginner's mind to everyday life. Thank you very much for joining me. I can see there's been at least 1 person watching me for most of the video. Thank you. It always makes me feel good to know there's somebody with me. If you've enjoyed this video, please tell your friends about it. It's going to be public, so please share it to anyone that you think might benefit. It will, of course, be being uploaded to my YouTube channel, and it will be going on my Patreon page. If you enjoy these videos and are thinking, oh, I wish I could have a bit more video time to do things like this, well, guess what? You can. All you need to do is to toddle on over to my Patreon page, and the link for my Patreon page is given at the top of the Crystal Wolf Qigong and Mindfulness page where this video is. And for the small sum of $2 a month, which is what, £2 a month at the current rate of exchange, given what the pound's doing, you can get an extra half hour a week with me, which can be set to your agenda. So do think about that, because that's not actually an awful lot of money. So thank you very much for joining me. Next week I will be going on to the next aspect of mindfulness. At the moment I can't remember what comes next in the list. If you have any questions, queries, comments, or would like to suggest a focus for meditation, you know how to contact me. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.